I'm vegan, and my kids are too. Why? Because I forced them to be. I mean, that's what we get to do as parents, right? We get to make them Democrats or Republicans or lovers of SpongeBob or haters of SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, my kids love They Might Be Giants and Marxist philosophy, so I kind of feel like my work is done here, you know? People ask more questions about what it's like to raise vegan children than what it's like to actually be vegan, so I thought we would answer some of your questions about vegan kids. Before we get into them, make sure to like this channel, subscribe, it's super important to subscribe, and also hit that little bell icon somewhere in this region so that you can get notifications about all future videos. Here are the things that I get asked most often about raising vegan kids. Number 1, can they live? As in, will they survive? As in, how do they grow? Are they gonna be okay? Yes, you can raise vegan children who are healthy children. Contrary to what the meat and dairy lobbyists who decide what we should eat will tell you, children can thrive without eating meat and without eating dairy, period. The only thing that vegans can't get from the foods that we eat is vitamin B12, which you can totally take a supplement for, or just don't wash your veggies very well because it's in the dirt. Many vegan children take B12 supplements, and that does the trick. My children are rosy-cheeked and alert. They have good endurance for sports. They are hardy. They are hardly ever sick. One tends to have kind of a string bean body type, and the other is just the most squeezable human ever. Vegan children do tend to be on the slighter side because, statistically speaking, they're not ingesting the hormones that are in the dairy and the meat products, which so many of our children in this country are raised eating. You can raise healthy vegan kids. Number 2, what about protein? How are they getting their protein? How are they getting their protein? People love to ask adult vegans about how we get our protein, so when they hear that my kids are vegan, that's what they ask. How do they get their protein? While meat is an easy way to get protein, we actually need a lot less protein than we ingest as a Western country. Overconsumption of protein has actually been linked to an increase in cancer and many other diseases in countries that use meat as their main source of protein. Many people don't realize that there's protein in a lot of foods. There's protein in bread, in beans, in pasta. There's a ton of protein in quinoa. How do I get my kids to eat quinoa? One word, ketchup. There are many ways to get enough protein, even if you and your children are vegan. Number 3, what do you do about play dates? People also ask, what do I do when other people care for my children? Well, I tend to do play dates with people whom I know, who know and respect me, and who respect the choices that our family makes about food. My kids are actually easy to feed if you think about it. They eat fruits, vegetables, nuts. Those are the easiest snacks for them. Carrots and celery, fresh veggies, and even hummus are now pretty easy to find. And the fact is, our kids weren't left with other people until they were old enough to be able to say out loud, I'm a vegan. Is that vegan? Call my mom. Number 4, what about birthday parties? Excellent question. I will admit that there was a year or two when my kids didn't quite understand why they couldn't have the cake being served at the birthday parties that we went to. My solution was I brought along a little vegan treat for them to have alongside the cake that was being served. Side note, while some vegans are super health conscious and don't do processed sugar and don't allow their kids to have any sweets, we did allow our kids to have processed sugar after the first few years of their life. So that made vegan treats a good compromise at birthday parties where they couldn't have the cake. My kids tend to hang back at birthday parties while the cake situation's happening. I think it's their way of reminding themselves that that's not for them, but they still sing along and love being there, and it's just not really a problem if you talk them through it. I mean, I grew up kosher for many years of my life. Many people have food allergies. A lot of people have restrictions, so ours is that we're vegan. Number 5, what do you tell your kids? I think what people are really asking when they ask this is, do your kids think I'm a bad person because I'm not vegan? I've always told my kids that we choose to be vegan, that's not everyone's choice, and that's fine. I don't want my children to be judgmental and annoying. I mean, I think they might be, but not in this arena. I remind my children frequently that our pediatrician supports this way of us eating, given my ex-husband's family history and my family's history of food-related illnesses, which we would like to spare them. We're doing our best to set them up for success in their bodies as they are growing. I tell my boys that we respect the earth and the animals which God has placed here. This is the way we do it. Being vegan is a philosophical, a medical, and a spiritual decision that we make every day. I also tell my children that it is worthwhile to make sacrifices for a greater good. Our capacity as humans is that we operate at a very high cognitive level where we can make decisions about things that we love, which we are choosing to refrain from. It's not something I do because it's not healthy emotionally, spiritually, or calorie-ly. In our family, we refrain from eating animal products and wearing animal byproducts. Our cognitive and emotional brains help us decide the kind of people that we want to be, and we are vegan. I don't know if my children will always be vegan. I also don't know if they will be lovers of Jewish law or Bob Dylan. But what I hope I have instilled in them is an appreciation for reflection, for sacrifice, and for ethical standards above what's trendy or what's commonplace or what everyone says is normal. I want to raise my children to be people who question things, people who do research, people who make decisions based on facts and feelings together. And we are animals, but we are unique animals with a distinct cognitive ability for contemplation, for conservation, and for cooperation for a greater good. If you're interested in learning more, I've included some links below, including the Vegan Family Cookbook that I wrote for people who are curious about what it's like to add more plants and grains to your diet. You can also learn about nutrition, ethics, and how cutting back on animal byproducts can change your life. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being open to hearing what I have to say about raising vegan kids. See you next time.